Welcome to the MVP Show. Full show notes for this episode can be found by going to podcast.nz365guy.com. Before we chat with today's guest, here's a quick message from our sponsors. Today's show is brought to you by the 90-Day Mentoring Challenge. I cover the following key areas to grow your career: communications, consulting, technology, Microsoft, communities, particularly community engagement, developing your career path, and building a personal brand. If this is something that interests you, go to nz365guy.com/mentoring, fill out the application, and we'll see if we can get you in the next intake. And with that, let's get on with the show. Today's guest is from Oslo in Norway. He's the Dynamics 365 manager for Point Taken. He got his first MVP awarded about a year ago now, but we will clarify that. He's a consultant by day and a national goalie for beach soccer by night. How's that? What that means, and he looks quite buff. But that aside, because we don't comment on such things. He has been working with Microsoft CRM since 2007. He's 8 years as a consultant architect before he was asked to work for Microsoft to build their partner channel for CRM. After 2 years at Microsoft, he got a chance to start the CRM branch at Point Taken, where he leads a team of exciting consultants. You can check him out on Twitter at CRM Keeper. Thomas Sandsør, welcome to the show.
Hey, great intro.
Did you like that?
Yeah, I was actually spot on. It was really great. But yeah, buff, no, but okay. I'll take it.
I've just been watching a video of you, practicing as a goalie.
I should probably take that down now.
And your shirt is nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
And you just see this rippling pile of abs and biceps and
I should probably
and
post a new video with something shirt on or something like that, just because it's a little embarrassing once I looked at it once again. Yeah.
No, it's not. It's good advertising, mate. Good advertising.
Oh, good stuff.
So how did you get into beach volleyball? And you're at national representation level, is that right?
Yeah, I was. I've been playing soccer, which is what we call it. I don't know if you call it that there.
Yeah, we call it soccer. Totally.
Yeah. But yeah, so I've been playing soccer since I was 7 years old. So I have had fairly a long career. But once I started to, after around 30, I didn't really enjoy playing the normal, the standard 11v11 soccer anymore. And then I just had some friends that said, hey, we just found this new thing. And I mean, this stuff we can do until we're 40 years old. No problem. I was like, well, what is it? Well, it's beach soccer. I was like, beach soccer? We live in Norway. Do we even have a beach to play? And says, yeah, there's actually one pitch. And it's only 10-minute drive away from where I live. So, I joined just one season. That was completely crap. But yeah, I just kind of kept at it just because it was just fun to have some friends again, to play with. So yeah. That's kind of how we got into beach soccer. Our season isn't longer than maybe 1.5 months, though, so we do have some disadvantages.
And so it's an international sport, though, right? So you go and play internationally.
Yeah, I was actually just recently in Portugal, so I just came back now for what was the world qualification. So it's we never play in Scandinavia. We mostly just play around, either Portugal. We've been into Spain, we've been to Russia, we've been to Thailand, just around the world to play around. Yeah. Never been to New Zealand, though. That'd be fun.
No. I don't know how big a sport it is here. How did you go, though, from a, you're saying you're in qualifying rounds. How did you go?
Well, actually, we won the, okay, so it's kind of a strange thing because it's just like in hockey, I think, where you have the A group and the B group. So Norway, of course, we are in the B group. So we won our first games so that we qualified.
What do you mean, of course? What do you mean, of course? We're in the B group. Come on.
Well, okay, we are in the B group. So we qualified from the first round to a middle round, where we then met 3 A teams. So we met Spain, which is really good, Poland, and I suddenly forgot the last third nation that we met. Yeah, Belarus. Is that what you say in English? Yeah. So they're really good nations at beach soccer, and so we really got to sort of see what beach soccer is supposed to be like. So we lost fair and square, and then we had some games at the end that were kind of like for the lucky losers for those groups, and yeah, but it was fun. It was fun. A lot of learning. It's great when you get to practice with the best people because then you really learn a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I bet. So tell me about, outside of your sport and, of course, what you do for work, tell us a bit about family, and then I always like to know a bit about the food, your local food that you recommend eating when visiting Oslo.
Oh, really? Yeah, so family, I mean, I don't really have a family of my own yet. But I do have a girlfriend, and I will get married in 1 month. So that's maybe the start of a family.
Congratulations.
Well, thank you. And then I can hopefully some additions to the family after that. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, I live not too far away from my parents, been kind of isolated in Norway my whole life. So, but in regards to food, that's a good question. I mean, a lot of Norwegian food is actually, we just bring in other people's food, because when we typically do the Norwegian thing, you wouldn't buy that at a restaurant, because we could say fish, but many other countries have fish. But like typical Norwegian salmon is actually, it's across the world. So you can go to many different restaurants in that.
My best Japanese food I have had has been in Oslo.
Really?
Yeah, down on the wharves there's a restaurant on the main pier.
Yep.
And it was the first time I'd had wasabi, proper wasabi, as in the guy came and grated wasabi at the table off like a wasabi root, I suppose it is. And it was like, wow, that's what wasabi is. That's amazing compared to, the dyed green horseradish that you get with a lot of Japanese, takeout or restaurants in outside Japan. So it was amazing. The food there was incredible, and of course, there's quite a community, isn't there, in Oslo of folks that are into the Power Platform and Dynamics.
Well, I'm not really sure if it's a good or a big community. I mean, we know each other fairly well, so the people that are there are very passionate about it. But I would say our biggest struggle is actually to get the other people that we don't really know who are, because it's pretty much the same people that go around, from different jobs. Do they just change jobs or change companies? But the same people, again and again. So we do have a good community, but it's small. We should try to figure out how to sort of improve it and get it even bigger, because it does mean a lot when I see, like, especially the UK community. It just I don't know if it's like that, but it just appears to be so much happening all the time. And of course they are bigger than us, but they have so many people engaged in different activities, and it just really just feels like you're kind of the FOMO when you're in Oslo and you kind of want to be in the UK just to sort of be a part of everything.
It's true, UK is awesome. But I mean, hey, I remember some years ago coming to Oslo and presenting at a Saturday event.
Exactly.
At the Microsoft office.
There.
Yeah, that was awesome. And I mean, you had a lot of people show up at that event.
Yeah, but you could maybe say that we have a lot of people showing up, but we don't have that many events. So when we first have some, we get a lot of attendance. So that's good.
Yeah. So true. How do you're in a role that you lead a team of people. How do you grow great talent? How do you make sure that your staff are continuing to learn the technology that's relevant to where we're going with the Power Platform and Dynamics? How do you make sure that your team are on the cutting edge?
That's a great question, and I mean, I don't know if I do it, but I try. And what I try to do is that, because I get overly exposed, in being an MVP, you get overly exposed with news drops all the time. And, either they're NDAs or stuff like that, and you got to keep them for a while, but at least you get to plan what's coming up ahead. And so I try to sort of stay close with them. So whenever I'm in project with them, because I tend to be a part of every single project we have, so that I get to talk about the things and sort of, these people are good consultants. So, I mean, they can do anything themselves without me there. But the only thing I do is I just try to challenge them. Well, did you think about this? Because this is coming out. Maybe we should try to steer that direction. But I think it's really, really hard because I just see that I use so much of my time just trying to keep up. And I'm not really sure if I can expect that from everyone to sort of use so many hours outside of work to keep up with all the news. It's kind of a tough one.
Do you do any work around universities? Because you talked about it's the same consultants moving from company to company. What are you doing proactively in the university sector to somehow either get grads, that you could train up on the technology? Do you have any formal programs like that in place?
I don't. So Norway has, through Microsoft Norway, we do have what we call the Microsoft University. But that is Microsoft's driven initiative where so the company, they hire people out of school, like people with master's degrees. So they hire the technology people out of school, and then they train them for 2.5 or 2 months, just by, just the typical standard certification programs. And they are guaranteed a job afterwards in that company. So the company's paying for the training and they get out. So that is one initiative that Microsoft Norway has, been doing for, at least since 2007. That's when I started. So I was one of the first that graduated from that program in Norway. So that's kind of like, it does create a lot of consultants. But personally, as a company, we are not big enough yet to be able to do that. So we are unfortunately maybe one of the companies that people hate because we're so small, we need people that have some experience. And that's kind of an unfortunate situation, yeah.
So you say you came through that program from university straight into Dynamics. Is that the case?
Correct. So I had no idea what CRM was. I'd gone a technology degree, something programming, and I'm a terrible programmer, but I passed the class basically. So I have a bachelor's in informatics. And after that, directly from that, I attended what was called the Microsoft University, spent 2 months just learning the programs, did some certifications, and then went out to that partner that hired me and started working for them.
Wow, that's incredible. So is Microsoft still running that program in Norway?
Yeah, every year. So, but they've expanded it also. I mean, it's always been big in different things also, but they've kept it for the Dynamics every single year. So it's like a minimum of 5 and normally around 15. So somewhere between 5 and 15 each year. And that's just for Dynamics. And they also have it for Azure, security, Microsoft 365. Yeah. Just a pretty cool program.
Is there any way that you can take them after Microsoft's finished that bit of work with them? Is there any way you can recruit them from there?
Yeah, but I mean, I would then go ahead and I would recruit them before that. So that means if our company would do that, it's around, I would say $8,000 ish. So maybe $8,000. You get to pick whatever you want from a CV database. And they say, I want this guy or this girl. And they go through the training, and then they arrive pre-trained and pre-certified. So for the first day of work, to point taken.
And so, but it costs you $8,000 per person, or to access the database?
Per person.
Wow.
Which is actually it's not that bad, because if you go to these, I'm not going to mention names, but these, I really hate these British, not the one, the only British talent recruiter that we love, but the one, all of the other companies that we hate, they do charge quite a bit to actually get a consultant moving from company A to company B.
Classic. Tell me, which one do we love?
Alison.
We
love Alison.
Absolutely, we love her. She is amazing.
Yeah.
She does it right?
She does it right, and she's a cool woman. I mean, it's just awesome the way that she gets to I'd never even thought about her being an MVP, but she does so many contributions. I mean, she's always there. I mean, any type of call she's in, participating, initiating discussions, it's just quite amazing.
Yeah, fully. So you've become an MVP. What was your journey? How did you go about becoming an MVP, and what were the kind of key highlights for you?
You're probably gonna like a part of that story here. So started off, actually, this is going to sound really strange. So I've been doing Dynamics since 2007 and that product only. So I still call it CRM because I want it to be CRM. But I'm kind of dinosaur that way. But so Malin and we worked together because I got her into Point Taken. And she had, so we suddenly got this case one day. It's like, do we know talent? And I looked at Malin, do we know talent? And he was like, no. Okay, we don't know talent. Well, can you learn? So I look at Malin. Do you feel like you want to learn talent for this one case? And she said, why? Oh, sure. Okay, no problem. So she started learning tons of stuff and she decided, okay, let's just start blogging. So she actually started doing all this blogging stuff within talent. And she started a journey that eventually turned into an MVP. That's when it opened up my eyes to see like, holy crap, why haven't I been doing this? I mean, at that point, it was over 12 years working with CRM and I never produced a single blog post because I didn't know that it was possible. You know, because she really taught me how to just set up the blog. So a simplest thing is just it's just a WordPress, you know, by getting just a brand and a WordPress and said, start blogging. So I started. And after that, we actually had the most awesome person that I've ever met. And you know him very well, Chris Huntingford. He was in Norway for a Arctic Cloud Developer Challenge, ACDC. It's a hackathon that we have once a year. So he was the host for that. The judge, referee, or whatever, for that. And he's talked about his journey and how he had become an MVP. And he talked about you, how you had been his guide. And really how you had just sort of told, you really guided him into certain things and what to think about and how to, and again, he used those words, how to make people feel good. And so he then encouraged me to start following you. And then randomly about that time, you posted this 90-day mentoring challenge.
Yeah, first time, yeah.
So I joined that and I just had the best experience because I was at the point where I hadn't yet started blogging. Mm-hmm. But I was thinking like, do I dare to do this? Is it scary? Are people going to really criticize what I write? Yes or no? And so, but you kind of pushed me a little bit over the edge. And you said like, well, the most important things that you do, especially within speaking and stuff like that, just people will remember how you made them feel. And that kind of stuck for me. And it's like, okay. So I started out with small things and I also did some sessions and just tried to make the sessions fun. So they were not maybe that very heavy technical, but, trying to smile a lot and making sure that people had fun. And it just felt good. So after a while, I was lucky and got nominated. And yeah. So that was kind of really my journey into the MVP thing, not having any clue what it was until suddenly actually Malin, which paved the road.
Yeah. And she's done it for so many now, There's been people recently gone through the 90-day mentoring challenge and they, once again, Marlins has influenced them massively in that. So exciting times. Tell us about what was the eye-opener for you when you became an MVP? What were you surprised about? What were the opportunities that it opened? How did it change your perception of Microsoft, the Power Platform, Dynamics 365, things like that?
Well, that's quite interesting because you get access to these DLs where you get a lot of cool information and the product team actually answering a lot of things. So that just kind of like, that was, I thought, pretty cool. Because suddenly I'd have access to people that, they do listen. When you are not an MVP, the only thing you really have is the user voice and you don't really know if that has a reach. So suddenly I felt like I had a voice and people wanted to listen. And I also noticed the difference, at least between Microsoft people. Also, I'm not saying that they didn't treat me well before, but they certainly have a different way of treating me now. And also within work, it is also a big difference to be perceived as an MVP when you talk to customers. So I actually do notice a difference there too, that we can use that for many good things. And so that's kind of what the biggest difference. But also actually, mostly recently, it's been recruiting. Because people that we have had into interviews, and a guy that we just recently hired also said that it was really cool to be able to work with someone that was so passionate about the product. And I was, the way that I show that, and I really appreciate that, because then I can share that passion with other people. So it's kind of cool.
Very cool, very cool. It's interesting that's the effect that it had, especially being that you used to work in Microsoft. What is there any parallels you can draw between being an MVP and working for Microsoft? Is there anything that you've reflected on in that respect?
Well, I had a bad experience with Microsoft, to be honest. I worked there for 2 years, and nobody really understood what I was doing, because I was right in the change. Microsoft at that time, they had a huge downsizing. So, and I think the bosses that I agreed to work for, they kind of understood that this was coming, so they left ship or abandoned ship. So they kind of knew this was happening. And I was suddenly then stuck there with a boss that didn't understand anything of what I was doing, had no idea what Dynamics was. And that really didn't work well with me. So I had no inspiration. It was no joy. And I actually thought that while working there that I would get to, get closer to the product team somehow, because it really does sound strange, but I love CRM. I've been doing it. This is all I've been doing my whole life. So I really like it. And I was kind of hoping to, contribute or do something. But the role that I had at that time did not get me any closer than I am now. On the contrary. So right now I am a lot closer than I was then.
Yeah, that's so interesting. And because it's something that I've found, I would attend MVP summits, back in the day when you could. And I would, for example, end up back in Australia. And the first meeting in my diary was by all the Microsoft tech team.
Yeah.
To have a chat about, what was the future? What was happening? What was, because they didn't get that exposure, and it surprised me. They didn't get the access that we get as MVPs to the product team, even though they worked inside Microsoft.
You wouldn't have access to the DLs either, as a Microsoft, or only certain roles would have that.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
True. It was very cool. In fact, I think I remember when James Phillips came into role, he went and cleaned out of the DLs every Microsoft person that wasn't part of the product team he wouldn't let any Microsoft folks and the subsidiaries, etc., be on the DLs for the MVPs.
Wow.
Which surprised me.
Because I did actually feel quite disconnected from the product while working there, and it was tough. So it wasn't for me. I mean, so I would love at some point maybe going back to Microsoft, but I was just, if there is an opening to actually work really close to the product, because that would be an extremely odd experience. That would be cool.
And it's a totally different world. When you were going in, they did this massive cull of everything, CRM, ERP, etc. That worldwide, they're and then James Phillips came into role, and of course, with him, Alyssa Taylor, and back then, I forget who it was that was looking after sales, but from that point, the whole program just exploded, and it's on a rocket ship, man, to the moon, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it would be a big difference there now, but you probably have people that are more passionate, at least about the Power Platform. So I would have someone to talk around those things, even though they're not. I should probably be a little bit careful, but Power Platform people aren't necessarily have any idea what CRM is, or Dynamics. But yeah, it's at least these people that understand what a Dataverse is. That's great.
Yeah. Good times. Well, our time is up, and I always like to wrap these things up with some quick fire questions.
Oh, yeah.
So are you ready? Here's yours. Easy as, if you could never work again, how would you spend your time?
Playing beach soccer. It is so fun.
Nice. What was the first thing you remember buying with your own money?
Oh, sounds a little bit odd, but when I was a kid, I was never allowed to buy Nintendo or PlayStation or Xbox.
Mhm.
So the first thing I really remember buying was a Nintendo.
Nice. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And finally, and you got to be truthful here, what is the wildest party you've ever been to?
I can't be truthful about that.
No, you've got to be. You're from Scandinavia, and we know how Scandinavians
No, but actually,
party.
that's actually the half moon party in Thailand. So that's more of or full moon party in Thailand. Sorry. So that's more of a crazy. That was, you have no idea what was going on there. Everything was going on, and nothing was going on at the same. It was just strange. It is the sickest experience I've been on ever.
We'll have to have a chat about that off
Yeah,
air.
but that would not be suitable on podcast, I think.
I love it. Thomas, it's been great to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Mark. This really means a lot.
Hey, thanks for listening. I'm your host, Business Application MVP Mark Smith, also known as the NZ365 guy. Listen, I'd love for you to leave a review. If you go to nz365guy.com/mentoring, you'll see the option there to leave a review. I'd love to get your feedback on whether you're enjoying the podcast, any ways you think I could improve it, that type of thing would be fantastic. Anyhow, with that, stay safe out there and see you next time.